The text from Mom came while I was in the middle of my presentation. Come home right away. Big news. I ignored it, of course. In my family, big news usually meant Tamsin had gotten a parking ticket dismissed or found the perfect shade of highlights. I finished walking my team through the quarterly projections, trying to focus on their questions about market expansion rather than the 3 more messages that buzzed in my pocket. When I finally checked my phone, there were 5 texts and 2 missed calls. The house was lit up like Christmas when I pulled into the driveway. I could hear laughter spilling out onto the porch, that particular kind of laughter that meant champagne was flowing freely. Through the window, I saw Tamsin in the center of our living room, gesturing animatedly while Mom clutched her chest and Dad beamed. There she is, Mom called out as I walked in. Your sister's engaged. Tamsin thrust her left hand toward my face, a massive diamond catching the light. Everett proposed at sunset on the yacht. It was perfect. Yacht. I managed to say. Last I'd heard, Everett Langston was just some guy Tamsin had been seeing for a few months. Oh, honey, you've been so busy with work. You've missed everything, Mom said, patting the couch beside her. They've been getting serious for weeks now. Dad raised his glass. To the future Mrs. Langston. And to think, all those years of private school finally paid off. I forced a smile, remembering the student loans I was still paying off from State University. Congratulations, Tam. That's quite a ring, isn't it? Tamsin twirled, her silk dress floating around her. We're thinking's a winter wedding. Something elegant at the plaza. Oh. And guess what? Everett's family has connections with that publishing house you were trying to get into last year. Funny how things work out, right? My throat tightened. I'd spent months perfecting that manuscript, only to have it rejected without explanation. Yeah. Funny. Arya, dear, Mom interrupted, would you grab more champagne from the kitchen? We need to toast properly. In the kitchen, I gripped the counter, taking deep breaths. Through the doorway, I could hear Tamsin describing her dream wedding, Mom's delighted gasps, Dad's proud chuckles. The same soundtrack that had played my entire life. My phone buzzed, a message from Jackson. How'd the presentation go? Killed it, I bet. I stared at his text, then back through the doorway, where my family continued celebrating without me. Something shifted inside me, like a gear finally clicking into place. I'd spent years trying to earn their attention, their approval. Maybe it was time to stop trying. I grabbed the champagne bottle, plastered on a smile, and walked back into the living room. Let them have their perfect evening. I had other plans forming. I met Jackson at our usual coffee spot the next morning, my promotion packet burning a hole in my bag. He took one look at my face and ordered me a double shot. That bad, huh? Tamsin's engaged, I said, spreading cream cheese on my bagel with more force than necessary. To Everett Langston. The publishing house guy? Jackson's eyebrows shot up. Wasn't he dating someone else like 2 months ago? Apparently, they're soulmates now. Getting married at the plaza this winter. The bagel was completely mutilated at this point. Mom's already talking about dress fittings. And your promotion? Didn't even get a chance to mention it. My phone buzzed, another group text from Mom about bridesmaid dresses. They're meeting with wedding planners today. Want to guess who's expected to take notes? Jackson leaned back, studying me. You could always say no. Right. Because that worked so well at Christmas when I tried to skip the family photos. I showed him my phone screen, where Mom had added a 3rd message about my sisterly duties. Speaking of duties, he said carefully, isn't today your meeting with the board about expanding the Asia market? I checked my watch and swore. The meeting was in 30 minutes, and I still needed to review my figures. As I gathered my things, my phone rang, Tamsin's face lighting up the screen. Hey sis, quick favor? Could you stop by the florist on 4th Street? They're holding samples for the centerpieces, but I'm stuck at brunch with Everett's mother. She's just dying to get to know me better. Tam, I have a board meeting. Please? Mom's so stressed about everything being perfect, and you know how she gets. Besides, it'll only take a minute. I could picture Mom's anxious hovering, her need for everything to be just so. Fine. Text me the details. You're the best. Tamsin's voice dripped honey. Oh, And while you're there, could you price out the premium packages? Everett's family is covering everything, but I want options. After hanging up, I caught Jackson's expression. Don't start. Wasn't going to say anything. He stood, grabbing his coat. Just remember, you're allowed to have your own life, your own priorities. I know that. Do you? He squeezed my shoulder. Because from where I'm standing, you're still letting them write your story. I watched him leave, his words echoing in my head. My phone buzzed again, Mom this time, asking if I could swing by the house to help with venue research. The board meeting presentation sat untouched in my bag, while my family's demands piled up like storm clouds. Something had to give. I just wasn't sure what, or who it would be. I found the mortgage paperwork by accident. Dad had always been meticulous about filing, but the document sat askew on his desk, its red, approved stamp still fresh. The numbers made my stomach drop. They'd borrowed against the house they'd spent 30 years paying off. Just looking for those venue brochures, Mom said behind me, making me jump. Her eyes darted to the papers in my hand. Oh, that's nothing. Just some refinancing. $300,000 isn't nothing, Mom. The paper trembled in my grip. That's more than the house is worth. Your father and I know what we're doing. She reached for the document, but I pulled it away. Does Tamsin know that you're mortgaging your retirement for her wedding? Don't be dramatic. Everett's family is handling most of the expenses. Most. I flipped through the pages. What about this deposit for the plaza? The custom ice sculptures? The string quartet from Vienna? Mom's face hardened. Your sister only gets married once. If you're lucky, I muttered, thinking of Tamsin's string of broken engagements in college. That's enough. She snatched the papers from my hands. Tamsin deserves her dream wedding. Your father and I are happy to help. Help? You're bankrupting yourselves. The words echoed off the walls. What happens when the payments come due? We'll manage. Mom's voice took on that familiar, dismissive tone. Though I suppose you wouldn't understand, never having been engaged yourself. The jab stung, but I pressed on. Did you even read the terms? The interest rate alone. I said that's enough. Dad appeared in the doorway, his face tight. Your mother and I don't need financial advice from you. But actually, he continued, we need you to co-sign some paperwork. The bank wants additional guarantors. The room seemed to tilt. You want me to what? It's just a formality. Mom touched my arm. We're family. We help each other. I stepped back, remembering all the times they dismissed my career choices, my achievements, my independence. No. No. Dad's eyebrows shot up. I won't sign anything. And you shouldn't either. I grabbed my bag. This whole thing is insane. Aria Elizabeth Caldwell. Mom's voice cracked. Your sister needs us. No. She needs someone to finally tell her no. I headed for the door, my hands shaking. And you need someone to stop you from destroying yourselves trying to please her. Behind me, I heard Mom start to cry, Dad's angry muttering. But for the first time in my life, I didn't turn back to fix things. Some things needed to break before they could be rebuilt. Tamsin cornered me at my office the next day. She perched on my desk, scattering the quarterly reports I'd been reviewing, her designer perfume overwhelming the space. So, she said, examining her manicure, you're refusing to help with the wedding? I'm refusing to enable financial suicide. I straightened the papers, not meeting her eyes. There's a difference. Mom's devastated. She thinks you hate me. Of course she does. The familiar weight settled in my chest. Because heaven forbid anyone question the golden child's choices. Tamsin's smile tightened. You know, Everett mentioned something interesting at dinner last night. About a manuscript that crossed his desk recently. She picked up my coffee mug, studying it. Apparently, it was quite good. Would have been approved if someone hadn't specifically requested it be rejected. My hands stilled over the keyboard. What are you talking about? It's funny how things work out, isn't it? You've always been so ambitious, so desperate to prove yourself. She set the mug down carefully. Maybe if you'd been nicer to me growing up, I wouldn't have had to make that call. The room seemed to shrink. You blocked my book? I couldn't risk you overshadowing my moment. Not with Everett's family. She shrugged, the gesture almost elegant. Besides, you were getting too independent. Mom and Dad needed something to worry about. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom, pleading with me to reconsider helping with the wedding. The pieces clicked into place. Years of sabotage, of carefully orchestrated failures, all designed to keep me in my assigned role. Get out, I said quietly. Don't be dramatic. This is what sisters do. We help each other maintain balance. Tamsin stood, smoothing her dress. Now, about the wedding. I need you to sign those papers. Otherwise, I might have to mention to Everett's family how unstable you've been lately. Imagine what that could do to your career. I thought about my promotion, about the Asia market expansion I'd worked so hard to secure, about how quickly it could all disappear with one whispered word from the right person. You really are a piece of work, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. I prefer to think of it as being practical. She headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and wear the blue dress to the engagement party tonight. The green one makes you look sallow. We can't have that in the photos, can we? After she left, I sat in my silent office, staring at my computer screen. Then I opened a new document and began to type. If Tamsin wanted to play games, it was time to change the rules. I wore red to the engagement party. Blood red. The kind of color that demands attention, that refuses to fade into the background. Tamsin's face when I walked into the country club was worth every penny of the rush tailoring. Everett broke away from his circle of admirers, catching my arm.
Arya.
You look different. Good different or bad different? Interesting different. He glanced over at Tamsin, who was watching us with barely concealed irritation. Listen, could we talk? Privately? We found a quiet corner near the terrace. Everett loosened his tie, looking less like the polished businessman and more like someone carrying a heavy weight. Your sister, he started, then stopped. Has she always been manipulative? Controlling? Take your pick.
He winced.
Yesterday, I found some discrepancies in the wedding budget. Large transfers to personal accounts, expenses that don't match the vendor's quotes. My manuscript rejections suddenly made more sense. Let me guess, she said she was handling everything? Among other things, he ran a hand through his hair. My family's reputation, we can't afford scandals. Then maybe you should look closer at who you're marrying. Before he could respond, Mom appeared, her smile brittle. Arya, darling, could you help in the kitchen? There's an issue with the catering. I'm talking to Everett.
Now, please.
Her grip on my arm was steel beneath silk. In the kitchen, she rounded on me. What are you doing? Having a conversation. Don't play innocent. I saw how you were looking at him. She lowered her voice. Your sister loves him. Does she? Or does she love what he represents? Why must you always compete with her? The laugh that escaped me was harsh. Compete? Mom, she sabotaged my book deal. She's been actively working to keep me down, and you've been helping her do it. That's ridiculous. You're just jealous because… Because what? Because I worked for everything while you handed her the world. My voice cracked. Because I'm finally seeing through the perfect family facade? The kitchen door swung open. Tamsin stood there, her designer dress matching the ice in her eyes. Mother, the Langstons are asking for you. She waited until Mom left before turning to me. Having fun. Just getting started. You really want to play this game? She stepped closer. Remember what I can do to your career. I thought about the documents on my laptop. Screenshots of suspicious transfers, records of her past manipulations, all carefully compiled. Maybe I'm not the only one with something to lose. Her smile faltered, just slightly. For the first time, I saw fear flicker across her face. Good. Let her wonder what else I knew, what else I might do. The party continued outside, champagne flowing, cameras flashing. But in that kitchen, something shifted. The game wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about justice. The call came at midnight, 3 days before the wedding. Everett's voice was tight, controlled. Check your email.
Now.
I opened the attachment with trembling fingers, financial records, text messages, emails. Evidence of Tamsin's elaborate web of lies and manipulation, stretching back years. Not just the wedding funds, but company accounts, forged documents, everything. She's been stealing from my family's foundation, Everett said, using the wedding expenses as cover. My stomach lurched. How much? Enough to trigger a federal investigation. A pause. Your parents' signatures are on some of these documents. The room spun. Mom and Dad might lose more than their house. They could face criminal charges. All because they'd been too blind to see what Tamsin really was. My phone buzzed again. Tamsin calling. I let it go to voicemail. I've called off the engagement, Ever continued. My lawyers are meeting with the board tomorrow. What about my parents? That depends on how cooperative everyone is. His voice hardened. And how quickly the money is returned. I thought of the evidence I'd gathered, safely stored on my laptop. It seemed almost childish now, compared to this. I need to go. I drove to my parents' house through the rain, rehearsing what I'd say. But when I arrived, Tamsin was already there. She stood in the living room, mascara streaking her face, while Mom sobbed on the couch. Happy now? Tamsin spat. You got what you wanted. Everything's ruined.
Me?
You did this. All of it. I had to. She grabbed a crystal vase, her own engagement gift, and hurled it at the wall. You were always the smart one, the responsible one. I had to be something else. Girls, please, Mom whimpered. We can fix this. Fix it. Dad emerged from his study, looking older than I'd ever seen him. The police are coming tomorrow. The Langstons are pressing charges. We'll lose everything, Mom whispered. Tamsin turned to me, her eyes wild. Help me. You're good with numbers, with fixing things. We can make this go away. For a moment, I saw her as she really was. Not the golden child, not the manipulator, but a scared little girl who'd spun too many lies. My sister. Please, she said. I'll make it right. I'll tell them about the book deal. About everything. Just help me. I looked at my parents, broken on the couch. At the shattered vase. At 28 years of enabling and denial lying in pieces around us. No, I said quietly. I won't help you hide anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. I found Tamsin in our childhood treehouse at dawn, her designer clothes replaced by an old sweater I'd left behind years ago. The police had been and gone, leaving our parents to deal with their lawyers. The house below us was dark, silent. Remember when Dad built this? Tamsin's voice was hoarse. You designed the blueprint on your math homework. You picked the paint color. I settled across from her, the wooden boards creaking. Cotton candy pink. I always hated that you could draw straight lines without a ruler. She pulled the sweater tighter. That you knew what you wanted to be when you were 12. That you didn't need anyone's approval to be happy. Didn't need or couldn't get? Her laugh was hollow. God, we're a mess, aren't we? I spent years trying to tear you down because I thought it would make me feel taller. And you. She met my eyes. You wanted me to fall so badly, you almost helped push. I wanted justice.
No.
You wanted what I had. The spotlight. Mom and Dad's attention. She pulled something from her pocket, a crumpled manuscript page. I kept this, from your book. It's good. Really good. My throat tightened. Why did you do it? Not just the book. All of it. Because being the favorite is like walking on water. The moment you stop performing the miracle, you drown. Her hands shook. I thought if I could just get married, secure that perfect life everyone expected, I could finally breathe. Instead, you committed fraud and nearly destroyed our parents. I know. Tears fell onto the manuscript page. The funny thing is, you're the only one who ever saw through me. Maybe that's why I worked so hard to hurt you. Dawn light filtered through the treehouse window, painting shadows on the walls we'd decorated together decades ago. Below, a car door slammed, probably another lawyer or detective. I can't fix this for you, I said quietly. I know that too. She straightened, wiping her eyes. But maybe you could help me face it? Not hide it or excuse it, but actually face it. I thought about the years of manipulation, of being pushed aside, of watching her shine while I struggled in shadow, about revenge and justice and the thin line between them. On one condition, I said finally, no more lies. To anyone, especially yourself. She nodded, then reached for my hand, the same way she used to when we were kids, scared of thunderstorms. This time, though, the gesture wasn't manipulation or performance. It was a lifeline. The sun rose fully, turning the cotton candy pink walls golden. Below us, our old life was ending. But maybe in its place, something honest could finally begin to grow. 6 months later, I sat across from my publisher, watching her flip through my manuscript. Not the original one, a new story, born from the ashes of what our family had become.
It's raw, she said. Honest.
The sister relationship, especially, based on personal experience. She smiled knowingly. I heard about the Langston scandal. Your sister's doing well in the rehabilitation program. I nodded, thinking of Tamsin's weekly letters from therapy, each one more self-aware than the last. Small steps. Outside her office, the city hummed with life. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom, asking if I'd join them for dinner. Not a demand this time, just an invitation. They'd been learning too, slowly untangling decades of enabling behavior. We'd like to publish it, the publisher said. Though some might find the ending uncomfortable, because the sisters don't fully reconcile? Because they choose truth over comfort. That's rare in family stories. I gathered my things, pausing at her door. Sometimes love means holding people accountable. At home, I found Jackson waiting with takeout and knowing smile. So, they're publishing it. The words felt surreal. And the Asia market expansion is officially approved. Look at you, living your own story. He handed me a fortune cookie. Your sister called while you were out. My hands stilled. And she's being released next month. Wants to know if you'll help her find an apartment. Said she'll understand if you say no. I broke open the cookie, letting the pieces fall where they may. The fortune read, "The truth shall set you free, but first it will hurt like hell." You know what's funny? I said, showing him the paper strip. I thought revenge would taste sweeter. Instead, I'm proud of her. For facing consequences, for doing the work. I reached for my phone. For finally being real. I typed a quick response to Mom's dinner invitation. Yes, but only for an hour. Boundaries were still boundaries. Then I opened my messages to Tamsin. About the apartment, I wrote, I know a place. Has good bones, needs work. Like most things worth saving. Her reply came quickly. Thank you. For not giving up on me when you had every right to. I looked around my living room. No family photos yet, but space for new ones when we were ready. On my desk, the manuscript waited, its title page simple but true. Sisters After. Some people might call it a happy ending. I preferred to think of it as an honest beginning. After all, the best stories aren't about perfect resolutions. They're about the courage to face what comes next, one page at a time.
They say time heals all wounds, but no one ever tells you how to handle it when someone tries to cover them up with a designer smile and a new wedding ring. Hi, I'm Giselle, and this is how my family drama unraveled. At 26, I should be living my best life. I've got a sweet gig as a software engineer at a hot tech startup, my own apartment, and well, that's where it gets tricky. See, 10 years ago, my mom and I were in a car accident. I walked away with scars, both physical and emotional. Mom didn't walk away at all. The memories of that day cling to me like shadows. The screeching tires, the shattering glass, and my mom's final words, I love you, Giselle. Be strong. Some days it feels like it happened just yesterday. Other days it feels like a lifetime ago. My dad and younger brother, Ethan, have moved on, each in their own way. But me, I'm still stuck, one foot anchored in the past, unable to let go. And then 6 months ago, Dad dropped a bombshell. Giselle, honey, I've met someone. Her name is Cynthia, and we're getting married. Cynthia, former model. 38. A smile that could light up Times Square. and an attitude that could dim it just as fast. From the moment I met her, it was clear she saw me as a threat. "Oh, Giselle," she purred, her voice laced with fake sweetness. "Still single. Don't worry, dear. There's someone out there for everyone. Eventually." Every word was a subtle dig, sharp enough to cut but wrapped in enough sugar to seem harmless. But I grit my teeth and endured it. For Dad's sake. After everything we'd been through, didn't he deserve to be happy? My best friend and coworker, Aisha, she gets it. "Girl, you need to set some boundaries with this woman," she said over lunch last week. "She's not your mom, and she never will be." Easier said than done, especially with Thanksgiving looming. As I pull up to Dad's house, my stomach tightens into a knot. The house looks different now. Mom's warm, welcoming decorations have been replaced with Cynthia's sleek, modern taste. It feels like I'm walking into a stranger's home. I take a deep breath, bracing myself for what's to come. "You can do this, Giselle," I mutter under my breath. "It's just one day." But as I ring the doorbell, memories of past Thanksgivings flood back. The smell of Mom's famous apple pie, her laughter blending with the sound of the Macy's parade on TV. Now it's the scent of some fancy catered meal and a clicking of Cynthia's designer heels. The door swings open, and there she is, Cynthia in all her perfectly coiffed glory. "Giselle, darling," she beams, her smile too perfect to be real. "So glad you could make it. Come in, come in." I force a smile, stepping inside. The weight of the past presses down on me, while the uncertainty of the future lingers like a storm cloud on the horizon. Little do I know, this Thanksgiving is about to make all those past family dinners look like a walk in the park. But hey, that's family, right? Sometimes the ties that bind can also strangle. The dinner starts like a powder keg just waiting for a spark. The tension in the air is thick enough to slice through, and Cynthia's smile is as plastic as the decorative turkeys on the table. "Giselle, dear, would you like some wine?" Cynthia asks, her voice saccharine as ever. "Sure, thanks." I nod stiffly, watching as she pours. I can't help but notice the changes around me. Mom's beloved china is nowhere to be found, replaced by sleek, modern plates that scream Cynthia. Dad clears his throat awkwardly. "So, Ethan, how's school going?" Grateful for the distraction, Ethan jumps into a story about his latest project. But Cynthia, of course, isn't interested. "That's nice, sweetie," she interrupts, "but let's talk about something more interesting." Cynthia's voice dripped with fox enthusiasm as she set her wine glass down and fixed her gaze on me. "Giselle, any men in your life?" I nearly choked on my wine. "I'm focusing on my career right now," I manage, hoping to steer the conversation elsewhere. Cynthia's eyes gleamed with amusement as she teased, "Oh honey, you don't want to wait too long." "Tick-tock." She gestured dramatically with her hand as if she had just dropped some life-changing wisdom. Dad shifted uncomfortably beside her. "Cynthia, maybe we should." "Oh, Robert," she cut him off with a laugh, patting his hand condescendingly. "I'm just looking out for her. That's what mothers do, right?" The word mothers hit me like a slap. My grip on the fork tightened as memories of my mom came flooding back. Cynthia's presence felt like an eraser, rubbing away everything that made my family my family. As dinner dragged on, her attempts to assert dominance only grew bolder. She spoke as though she had always been a part of our family, casually claiming traditions and moments that had nothing to do with her. Each time, it was as though Mom's memory was being erased, bit by bit, with every word that left Cynthia's mouth. And then, halfway through dinner, she dropped a bomb. "You know, Giselle," Cynthia said, setting her fork down with exaggerated grace, "I think it's time you started calling me Mom. We're family now, after all." The table fell silent. Everyone's eyes were suddenly on me, the tension so thick it felt like I couldn't breathe. I can't do that, Cynthia," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not comfortable with it." Her face hardened in an instant. "And why not? I'm married to your father. I'm the woman of this house now." "Because you're not my mother." This time my voice was stronger, the words pushing up from the core of my being. "My mom died 10 years ago, and I'm not ready to call anyone else that." Her eyes flashed with anger, and her lips curled into a sneer. "Well, it's time you got over that, don't you think? It's been a decade. Giselle, stop living in the past." "Cynthia, enough," Dad warned, but she wasn't listening. "No, Robert," she shot back. "She needs to hear this. I've been patient. I've tried to be understanding, but I am tired of walking on eggshells in my own home. I am your wife, and I deserve respect. Respect is earned, I snapped, the years of bottled up emotion finally bubbling to the surface. And you can't force someone to see you as their mother. What happened next felt like slow motion. Cynthia stood abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. Her face was twisted in rage as she raised her hand. And then it came down, a sharp slap that echoed through the room. My cheek stung where her palm connected, but the pain was nothing compared to the shock that rippled across the table. For a moment, everything was frozen. Then chaos erupted. Dad jumped up, putting himself between us, his voice a frantic blur. Ethan was shouting something I couldn't quite make out, but I couldn't focus on any of it. I was back in that car, 10 years ago, the world spinning out of control around me. Without a word, I grabbed my purse and bolted for the door. I could hear Dad calling after me, but I didn't stop. The drive home was a blur of tears and the dull ache in my cheek. When I finally made it back to my apartment, I sat in front of the mirror, staring at the red mark on my face. It wasn't just about the slap. It was about everything that had led to this moment, about how Cynthia was threatening to tear apart what little remained of our family, and about how I could no longer stand by and let it happen. Something had to change. I picked up my phone and dialed Dad's number. It was time to have a serious talk about Cynthia and the future of our family, because if there was one thing Mom had taught me, it was that family was worth fighting for, even when the fight got ugly. The days after the Thanksgiving disaster were a blur of missed calls from Dad and a growing sense of dread gnawing at my gut. I replayed every moment with Cynthia in my mind, searching for the clues I'd missed, the signs I had ignored. She wasn't just trying to be the new mom, she was trying to isolate Dad from us. "I can't believe she hit you," Aisha said, her voice filled with outrage over coffee. "That's straight up assault." I nodded, absently touching my cheek. "It's not just the slap. It's everything. The way she's been acting. It's like she's trying to erase Mom entirely." That's when the realization hit me. Cynthia wasn't just angling to replace Mom. She was systematically isolating Dad. I started digging. It wasn't hard to find dirt on Cynthia. Former models leave quite the digital trail, and what I found made my blood run cold. 3 marriages, I muttered, scrolling through old news articles. All to wealthy older men, and each one ended in a messy, expensive divorce. But it was an anonymous comment on an old gossip blog that really made my skin crawl. "Watch out for Cynthia. She'll bleed you dry and make you think it was your idea." I called Ethan, desperate to hear a familiar voice. "Hey, how's Dad doing?" Ethan sighed heavily. "I don't know. Cynthia's got him convinced you overreacted. She's been talking about family therapy, saying we all need to heal." My stomach churned. "Ethan, has she been trying to keep you from seeing Dad?" The pause on the other end of the line was all the confirmation I needed. "She keeps planning these couples trips," Ethan finally said, his voice weary. "And when I try to visit, she always has some reason why it's not a good time." I took a deep breath. "Ethan, we need to talk. In person, there's something you need to see." The next day, we met at a coffee shop, and I laid it all out: Cynthia's history of manipulation, her lavish spending, the emotional control. I watched Ethan's expression change from disbelief to shock as the reality set in. "But Dad seems so happy," he said weakly. "Does he?" I countered. "Or is he just afraid to rock the boat?" As we pieced everything together, a clearer picture emerged. Cynthia's insecurity. Her need to be the center of attention. Her fear of aging and losing the lifestyle she clung to. She didn't see us as family. She saw us as a threat. "So, what do we do now?" Ethan asked, his voice low. I squared my shoulders, determination surging through me. "We talk to Dad. We show him what we found. And we make him see what's really going on." Doubt crept in, gnawing at the edges of my resolve. Would Dad even believe us? Or had Cynthia's manipulation dug in too deep? "He has to see it," Ethan said, echoing my thoughts. "Once we lay it all out, he'll understand." I nodded, trying to convince myself as much as him. "Right, we'll make him see." As we left the coffee shop, I felt a strange mix of determination and dread. This conversation wasn't going to be easy, but for the sake of our family, for Mom's memory, it had to be done. Over the next few days, I prepared meticulously, gathering evidence and bracing myself for the confrontation ahead. When I picked up the phone to arrange the meeting with Dad, I couldn't shake the feeling that this would change everything, for better or for worse. The truth about Cynthia was about to come out, and our family would never be the same. I set the meeting at our old favorite diner, a neutral spot far from Cynthia's influence. When Dad and Ethan slid into the booth, the tension between us was palpable. "Thanks for coming," I began, my heart pounding. "We need to talk about Cynthia." Dad's face tightened. "Giselle, if this is about Thanksgiving." "It's more than that, Dad," Ethan interjected. "Please just hear us out." I took a deep breath and laid out everything we had uncovered: Cynthia's past marriages, her financial habits, her manipulation tactics. As I spoke, I watched Dad's expression shift from defensive to confused to devastated. I had no idea," he mumbled, staring into his coffee cup as though it held answers. Ethan leaned in, his voice gentle. "Dad, has Cynthia been trying to keep you from seeing us?" The silence was deafening. Finally, Dad nodded, his face weary. "She always has a reason why it's not a good time for you to visit. I thought," he trailed off, shaking his head, "I thought she was just trying to help us bond as a new family." "And the Thanksgiving incident?" I asked softly, testing the waters. Dad's eyes welled up. "I should have stood up for you, Giselle. I'm so sorry." As we talked, the full extent of Cynthia's manipulation became clear. She had been subtly isolating us from each other, playing on our vulnerabilities. We'd all been caught in her web. "What do we do now?" Ethan asked. Dad straightened in his seat, a determination in his eyes that I hadn't seen in years. "We confront her. Together. Set some firm boundaries." The next day, we gathered at Dad's house. The moment Cynthia saw the three of us united, her saccharine smile faltered. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice tight, eyes flicking between us. Dad took the lead, his voice calm but resolute. "Cynthia, we need to talk about your behavior and the future of this family." As he laid out our concerns, Cynthia's mask began to slip. Her carefully crafted facade cracked, and anger twisted her features. "You ungrateful brats," she screamed. "After everything I've done for this family." Her outburst only confirmed what we already knew. Dad's face hardened, his voice steady. "I think you should leave, Cynthia," he said quietly. "This marriage, it was a mistake." Cynthia stormed out, hurling threats about lawyers and alimony. The sound of the door slamming behind her felt like a weight lifting off my chest. It wasn't over. There would be legal battles and emotional fallout. But for the first time in years, it felt like we were a family again. That night, as Dad, Ethan, and I sat around the kitchen table eating pizza, really talking for the first time in what felt like forever, I realized something. We had been so focused on preserving Mom's memory that we'd forgotten her greatest wish for us, to be happy and united. As we laughed and shared old family stories, I knew the road ahead would be long, but we'd face it together. Our foundation was stronger now, built on truth, love, and a shared understanding of what family truly meant. Now I have a question for you. Giselle and her family chose to confront Cynthia directly and cut ties. Do you think this was the right approach? Or should they have tried family therapy or given Cynthia a chance to change? Where do we draw the line between protecting our family and potentially breaking it apart? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could spark an interesting discussion about family dynamics and dealing with toxic relationships. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more compelling tales of family drama and personal growth. Your support helps keep these thought-provoking stories coming. My name's Olivia Chen. I'm a 35-year-old corporate lawyer, happily married to Mark, with a 5-year-old daughter, Emily. To outsiders, we look like the ideal suburban family. I've put in countless hours balancing my career and family, and I thought I was doing a pretty good job. Mark, my husband, is a successful sales executive. Charming, charismatic, the whole package. We met in college and married soon after graduation. Life seemed perfect at first. But lately, Mark's behavior has changed. He's become subtly controlling, asking where I've been, who I'm talking to. I brushed it off as work stress, but the nagging feeling lingered. Then there are my in-laws, Robert and Linda. They've never approved of me working full-time. Last Thanksgiving, Linda looked at me pointedly and said, "Olivia, don't you think Emily needs her mother at home more?" I nearly choked on my turkey. "Emily's doing great, Linda. She's top of her class and loves her after-school activities. I replied, keeping my voice steady. But she pressed on. Well, I just think children need a strong maternal presence. Mark interjected. Mom, we've talked about this. Olivia's career is important to her. I shot him a grateful look, but couldn't help noticing how he phrased it, to her instead of to us. My best friend and colleague Jessica has raised concerns about Mark. Liv, are you sure everything's okay at home? She asked, her brows furrowing. I usually laugh it off, but sometimes I wondered if she saw something I didn't. My brother, Michael, a detective, isn't a fan of Mark either. At Emily's birthday party last month, I caught him confronting Mark. I got my eye on you, buddy. Olivia might not see it, but I know your type. Mark snapped. Back off, Michael. What happens in my family is none of your business. I broke up the tension, but a chill settled in my stomach. Still, I thought we were making it work. Then, last Friday, Mark dropped a bombshell. Olivia, my parents want to take Emily for the weekend while we're at the conference, he said. I froze. Mark, you know I'm not comfortable leaving Emily with them for that long. He wagged it off. Come on, they're her grandparents. I was exhausted after a grueling work week, and against my better judgment, I agreed. Little did I know that decision would change our lives forever. We returned from the conference early. A panel had been canceled, and I was eager to see Emily. But when we pulled up to the in-laws' house, an eerie quiet hung in the air. Usually Linda had the TV blaring. Hello? Anyone home? I called, stepping inside. Silence. My heart began to race as I searched room by room. Then a faint whimper came from the bathroom. I rushed over, my hands shaking as I turned the doorknob. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. Emily sat huddled in the corner, her blue dress stained with blood, trembling. Oh my God, Emily! I cried, rushing to her. Baby, what happened? She just stared at me, wide-eyed and terrified. When I tried to touch her, she flinched, recoiling from me. Emily, sweetie, it's Mommy. You're safe now. Emily, I whispered, trying to soothe her trembling frame. Can you tell me what happened? She mumbled something, her voice barely audible. What was that, honey? Grandpa's game, she whispered, then burst into tears. Just then, I heard footsteps. It was Mark, his reaction throwing me off. Oh, it's just a nosebleed, he said, too casually, grabbing a washcloth and wiping Emily's face like it was no big deal. Mark, look at her. We need to take her to the hospital. Don't be dramatic, Olivia. Kids get nosebleeds all the time. I was about to argue when Robert and Linda rushed in, feigning surprise. Oh dear, what happened? Linda gasped, her tone barely convincing. That's what I'd like to know, I said, feeling my lawyer instincts kick in. Where were you two? Robert stammered. We just stepped out for some groceries. Both of you? And you left a 5-year-old alone. Mark cut in. Olivia, I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Let's not jump to conclusions. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I looked down at Emily and noticed faint bruises on her arms that hadn't been there before. We're taking her to the hospital now, I said firmly. Mark grabbed my arm. No, we're not. You're overreacting, as usual. We're going home. Overreacting? Our daughter was covered in blood. It's handled, Olivia. Drop it. The drive home was tense. Emily sat silently in the back seat while Mark kept insisting I calm down. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. When we got home, I tucked Emily into bed. She clung to me like her life depended on it. Mommy's here, baby. You're safe now, I whispered, fighting back tears. Once she was asleep, I slipped out of her room and texted Jessica and Michael. Whatever was going on, I needed help. I was going to get to the bottom of it. No one messes with my child and gets away with it. The weeks following that nosebleed incident were a nightmare. Emily wasn't sleeping, waking up from horrific nightmares, crying, no, Grandpa, no. Every time, it shattered me. I started noticing things I'd missed before. How she flinched when Mark raised his voice. How she'd go silent at any mention of her grandparents. During lunch one day, I confided in Jessica. Jess, I think something happened to Emily at my in-laws. Mark's acting strange, and Emily's terrified. Jessica grimaced. Liv, I've always had a bad feeling about Mark. Remember when he accidentally broke your phone because you were out late? I nodded, my stomach churning. What do I do? Gather evidence. I have a friend who can set you up with some hidden cameras. That night, after Mark fell asleep, I installed tiny cameras around the house and slipped a GPS tracker into his car. It felt wrong, but I had to protect Emily. Days later, while reviewing our finances, I discovered an unfamiliar bank account. Mark, what's this account? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He snatched the laptop. It's nothing, just a work account. Work stuff that needs $50,000 in cash withdrawals? His eyes flashed with anger. Stay out of it, Olivia. I mean it. That's when I knew I had to dig deeper. I called Michael, filled him in, and he promised to look into Mark's background. A week later, Michael arrived at my office with a grim look. Olivia, you're not going to like this. Mark has a history of domestic violence complaints. They were mysteriously dropped. I felt like I'd been punched. There's more, isn't there? Michael nodded. Your father-in-law, he's got shady connections. I think they're involved in something illegal. That night, I waited until Mark was in the shower and checked his emails. What I found made my blood run cold. He and his parents had been discussing handling me if I got too nosy. Worse, there were unsettling mentions of Emily. The next morning, I called Linda, feigning innocence. Linda, Emily's been having nightmares about some game with Grandpa. Any idea what that's about? There was a long pause before she answered, oh, you know how kids are. Their imaginations can run wild. Really? Because this seems like more than just imagination. Olivia, she replied, her voice cold. Don't make a fuss over nothing. It's not good for the family. I hung up, my hands shaking. They were all in on whatever was happening. It was hurting my baby girl. Over the next few days, I devised a plan. I needed to get Emily out, gather enough evidence, and bring these monsters down. But I had to be smart. One wrong move, and I could lose everything. That night, as I tucked Emily in, I whispered, don't worry, baby. Mommy's going to fix this. I promise. I kissed her forehead, bracing myself for what was to come. The next morning, I woke up early, my heart pounding. I had to play it cool. One slip, and everything could crumble. Morning on, I greeted Mark with a forced smile. I was thinking, maybe Emily could have a sleepover at Jessica's tonight. Give us some alone time. Mark looked surprised but nodded. Sure, why not? I dropped Emily off at Jessica's, hugging her tightly. Be good, sweetie. Mommy loves you. Back at home, I took a deep breath and confronted Mark. We need to talk. What about? His tone immediately turned defensive. I laid out the evidence, his secret bank account, the emails, and Emily's bruises. His face shifted from shock to fury. You've been spying on me, he snarled. I've been protecting our daughter. I shot back. What the hell have you and your parents been doing to her? He lunged at me, grabbing my arm. You know, see, you have no idea what you're messing with. I struggled, managing to press the panic button on my phone. I know enough, Mark. It's over. His eyes widened as he realized what I'd done. Just then, the door burst open. Michael stormed in with a team of officers. NYPD. Hands where we can see them. Mark tried to run, but the officers quickly tackled him to the floor. As they cuffed him, he spat, You'll regret this, Olivia. My family will destroy you. I watched coldly as they led him away. No, Mark, I said, steady as steel. You're the one who's going to regret ever laying a hand on our daughter. A year later, life looks very different. We moved to a new city for a fresh start. Emily's in therapy and thriving. Her nightmares have lessened, and she's smiling again. I made partner at a new law firm specializing in family law and domestic abuse cases. Now, I use my experience to help others escape situations like mine. Today, as I was preparing for a big case, my phone rang. Mark's new lawyer, probably fishing for an appeal. I deleted the voicemail without listening. That chapter of our lives is closed. Later, as Emily and I planned our weekend movie night with ice cream sundaes, I realized something. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. And those monsters, they're nothing but a fading nightmare. If you discovered a dark secret about your spouse or in-laws that put your child at risk, would you confront them directly or gather evidence first? What would you do differently from Olivia? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might help someone in a similar situation. If this story resonated with you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. We share stories that shed light on important issues and your support helps us reach more people who might need to hear them. Remember, in situations of abuse or danger, prioritize safety and seek professional help. No one should face these challenges alone. Hey, I'm Ekadoli, a 17-year-old girl with big dreams and a passion for coding. My sanctuary? My laptop or my fingers fly across the keyboard, bringing my ideas to life. It's my escape, my happy place. But in this house, happiness always comes with a cost. Ekadoli, get down here. Now, my mom's sharp voice slices through my focus like a knife. I sigh, saving my work before reluctantly heading downstairs. The living room feels like a battlefield. On one side are my parents, on the other, my younger sister, Emma. Dad's glued to his phone, probably answering late-night work emails. Mom's pacing, her face flushed with excitement, while Emma practically vibrates with energy. What's going on? I ask, already bracing for bad news. Mom beams, her voice filled with pride. Your sister just got accepted into that prestigious summer art program in Paris. Isn't that wonderful? I force a smile, fighting the bitterness that bubbles up. Yeah, great. Don't get me wrong, I love Emma. But it's tough to be thrilled when everything she does is treated like she's just solved world hunger. We need to start planning right away. Mom continues, oblivious to my lack of enthusiasm. Emma needs new clothes, art supplies, spending money. I can already see where this is heading. My stomach tightens as I think about the new graphics card I've been saving up for. Goodbye, upgrade. Mom, how are we going to afford all that? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Dad finally glances up from his phone. We'll figure it out, honey. Emma's talent deserves to be nurtured. Right, because my coding? That's just a cute little hobby, apparently. Later that night, I'm venting to my best friend, Michael, over video chat. His face on the screen is full of sympathy as I let out my frustrations. It's like I don't even exist sometimes, I complain. Everything's always about Emma. That sucks, Aika, Michael says, nodding. But hey, at least you've got that job at Chen Electronics, right? You're making your own money. I nod, grateful for the reminder. Yeah, Mr. Chen's been awesome. He even lets me work on my coding during the slow hours. Just then, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Aunt Jessica. Hey kiddo, heard about Emma's news. How are you holding up? I smile, feeling a small spark of comfort. At least someone in my family gets me. As I start typing a reply, I hear my parents' voices, hushed but tense, from downstairs. Curiosity gets the best of me, and I creep to the top of the stairs to eavesdrop. We can't keep spending like this, Linda. Dad's voice is firm, almost desperate. The credit cards are maxed out, and I'm barely keeping up with the mortgage. We'll find a way, Mom insists. We always do. Emma needs this opportunity. I retreat to my room, heart racing. If money's that tight, how are they planning to send Emma to Paris? Something doesn't add up, and I've got a bad feeling I'm about to find out just how far they'll go for her. The next morning, I wake up with a sense of dread. Stretching, I reach for my laptop, my lifeline, only to find nothing. My laptop is gone. Panic surges through me as I scan the room, my gaming console, also gone. What the hell? My heart pounds as I sprint downstairs. Mom. Dad. Have you seen my laptop, my console? Mom avoids my gaze, busying herself with the coffee machine. Dad clears his throat, his expression guilty. Honey, we had to make some financial adjustments for Emma's trip. The penny dropped. You sold my stuff. Without even asking me, my voice trembled, the realization hitting like a punch to the gut. It was necessary, Mom replied coldly, not even bothering to look at me. Emma's future is at stake. What about my future? I shouted, anger surging like wildfire through my veins. I need that laptop for my programming. Don't be so dramatic, Mom scoffed. You can use the family computer. I stared at her in disbelief. The family computer? That dinosaur can barely run Minesweeper, let alone any of my programs. Dad stepped in, his voice calm but firm. We're doing what's best for the family, Ekadoli. Emma's opportunity. What about my opportunities? I cut him off, my voice rising. I've been saving for months for a programming course, and you just stole that from me. This isn't about you, Mom snapped, her face tight with irritation. Stop being so selfish. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Selfish. You stole from me. We're your parents, Dad said, his tone brokering no argument. It's our right to make these decisions. Some parents you are. I spat, storming out of the room, fury and hurt coursing through me. I didn't stop running until I reached Michael's house, my vision blurred with tears. He opened the door, took one look at me, and pulled me into a hug. They sold my stuff. I sobbed into his shoulder. For Emma's stupid trip. Michael's mom overheard us and insisted I stay for breakfast. Over pancakes, I slowly calmed down, explaining everything. Michael shook his head in disbelief. That's so messed up, Aika. His mom frowned deeply. Have you talked to your Aunt Jessica about this? I nodded and pulled out my phone to text her. Her response was immediate. I'm coming over. This has gone too far. As I waited for Aunt Jessica, a memory surfaced. Last week, I'd overheard my parents arguing about money. Dad had mentioned maxed out credit cards and struggling with mortgage payments. At the time, it hadn't made sense. We weren't rich, but we weren't poor either. Now it all clicked. Michael, I said slowly, I think there's more going on here than just Emma's trip. We spent the next hour digging through my family's financial records online. What we found made my blood run cold. Holy crap, Michael whispered, staring at the screen. Your dad's been making regular payments to online casinos for months. My stomach churned. And look at my mom's credit card statements, designer clothes, spa treatments. How are they affording this? Just then, Aunt Jessica arrived. I showed her everything we'd uncovered. Oh, sweetie, she said, pulling me into a tight hug. I'm so sorry. This is worse than I thought. As we talked, another realization hit me. Wait a minute. I pulled up Emma's school portal. If she got into this fancy art program, her grades must be amazing, right? But they weren't. Emma was barely passing most of her classes. She lied, I whispered, the betrayal cutting deep. About everything, her grades, her art. And Mom and Dad just believed her. Aunt Jessica's face hardened. This ends now. I'm calling a family meeting. As she dialed, I felt a mix of dread and determination. My family had lied to me, stolen from me, betrayed me. But I wasn't going to let them keep doing it. I wasn't going to be their victim anymore. It's time for some hard truths, I said, squaring my shoulders. And it's time I started looking out for myself. Little did I know, this confrontation was just the beginning. The storm that had been brewing was about to break, and nothing would ever be the same again. Then the bombshell dropped. Ikondoli? Look at this, Michael said, pulling up a website. The art program Emma got into, it's a scam. They're just after the tuition money. My stomach twisted. I confronted Mom with the evidence, but she refused to believe it. You're just jealous of your sister's talent, she snapped. Stop trying to ruin this for her. I was floored. How could she be so blind? The next day at work, Mr. Chen noticed my distraction. Everything okay, Ikondoli? He asked kindly. I hesitated, then spilled everything. To my surprise, he listened patiently. You're a bright kid, he said after I finished. How about this? After you graduate, I'll offer you a full-time position here. You can save up, maybe even take some online courses. I was speechless. Mr. Chen, thank you. But my relief was short-lived. That night, I overheard Dad on the phone, his voice shaky. I'll get you the money, I swear, just give me more time. Loan sharks. My blood ran cold. This was worse than I thought. The next day, Mom cornered me in the kitchen. This is all your fault, she hissed. If you hadn't been snooping around, none of this would have happened. You need to quit that job and focus on helping the family. I stared at her, speechless. My fault? You're the one's woe. Enough, she shouted. You'll do as you're told, or you can get out. I ran to my room, shaking with anger and fear. This had to end. I called Michael and Aunt Jessica, putting them on speaker. I can't take this anymore, I said, my voice cracking. We need to expose everything. I'm with you, Michael said immediately. Aunt Jessica sighed. It won't be easy. But you're right, this has gone on long enough. We spent the next few hours pulling everything together. The fake art program, Dad's gambling, Mom's reckless spending, and Emma's lies. We compiled it all into a presentation, planning to confront them at once, with Aunt Jessica as a witness. What if they kick me out? I asked, suddenly gripped by fear. Then you come live with me, Aunt Jessica said firmly. No matter what happens, you're not alone in this. As I hung up the phone, I felt a heavy mix of dread and determination. Tomorrow, everything would change. I glanced at the framed photo on my nightstand. My family, smiling and happy. It felt like a lifetime ago. "I'm sorry," I whispered to the picture, "but I have to do this. For all of us." With a deep breath, I turned off the light, hoping I was strong enough for whatever came next. Tomorrow, the truth would come out, and nothing would ever be the same. The day of reckoning arrived faster than I expected. With shaking hands, I presented all the evidence to my school counselor and a family lawyer Aunt Jessica had contacted. Their expressions were graver as they reviewed everything. "This is serious, Ikadoli," the lawyer said. "We'll need to involve Child Protective Services." What followed was a whirlwind of investigations and shocking revelations. Dad was suspended from his job when his gambling addiction came to light. Mom's credit card fraud and tax evasion were uncovered, leading to criminal charges. Emma's web of lies unraveled at school, putting her graduation in jeopardy. Through it all, I felt strangely numb. This was what I wanted, right? Justice. But watching my family fall apart was harder than I had ever imagined. Aunt Jessica became my anchor. "You're doing the right thing," she reassured me. "Sometimes love means holding people accountable." I moved in with her, throwing myself into my programming projects. Mr. Chen, bless him, offered me a scholarship for a computer science degree. "You've got talent, kid," he said. "Don't waste it." As the dust settled, the consequences became clear. Dad faced legal action for his gambling debts and embezzlement. Mom was charged with financial abuse and fraud. Emma had to repeat a year of school and undergo counseling. And me? I graduated with honors, landed an incredible tech internship, and for the first time, felt free to chase my dreams without the weight of my family's toxicity holding me back. For a moment, I felt a pang of regret. But then I remembered all the lies, all the betrayals, and the suffocating feeling of never being seen or heard. I turned away from the past, focusing instead on Aunt Jessica's proud smile and Michael's enthusiastic cheering. In that moment, I realized something profound. Family isn't just about blood. It's about trust, support, and unconditional love. And sometimes you have to create your own family to truly thrive. Looking out at the sea of faces at my graduation, I felt a surge of hope. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in years, I was excited about the future. My future, on my terms. And you know what? That felt pretty damn good. The story ends here, but the conversation is just beginning. What would you have done in Ikadoli's shoes? Was exposing her family's secrets the right move, or should she have kept quiet for the sake of unity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to choose between loyalty to family and doing what's right? Your experiences could help others facing similar dilemmas. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Your support helps us bring stories like Ikadoli's to light. And remember, sometimes the family we choose is stronger than the one we're born into. Hey y'all, I'm Xana, 28, living my best life here in the Windy City as a marketing exec. Life's been pretty sweet. Got myself a killer apartment downtown with a view of the Chicago skyline that'll make your jaw drop. Every morning, coffee in hand, I soak it all in. It's my little slice of heaven. Family's always been huge for me. We're close-knit, the kind that actually looks forward to Sunday dinners. My big sister, Amar, is my ride or die. Growing up, she always had my back. I remember this one time in high school when some girl was spreading rumors about me. Amr stormed right over in the cafeteria and shut it down. That's just how we roll. "Zab, you coming over for dinner tonight?" Amr's voice crackles through my phone as I'm heading to work. "You bet. Wouldn't miss Mom's lasagna for the world. Want me to bring anything?" "Just your charming self, sis. Oh, and maybe that hot lawyer boyfriend of yours." I laugh. Mike's got a late meeting, but I'll drag him along next time. Promise. Speaking of Mike, things are getting serious. He's talking rings and white picket fences, which is exciting but also kinda terrifying. Are we really grown up enough for all that? When I'm not working or with family, I'm usually at the community center. It's a bit rundown, in a tough neighborhood, but those kids light up my world. I volunteer in an after-school program helping with homework and whatnot. It's not much, but if I can make one kid's day brighter, it's worth it. "Miss Zab, can you help me with this math problem?" Little Tyrone asks, brow furrowed. Sure thing, buddy. Let's tackle it together. Moments like these remind me I'm doing something right. So yeah, life's smooth sailing. Works great. I've got an amazing family, a hot boyfriend, and I'm giving back to the community. What more could a girl ask for? But just when you think you've got it all figured out, life throws you a curveball. I'm at my desk powering through some reports when my phone rings. Unknown number. Normally, I'd let it go to voicemail, but something tells me to answer. Hello, is this Zainab Thompson? Yes, this is she. Who's calling? This is Sarah from Child Protective Services. I'm calling about your adopted child, Emily. We need to schedule a home visit. Wait. What? Adopted child? Emily? My mind races, my heart pounds. This has to be some mistake. I don't have any kids, let alone an adopted one. But as Sarah keeps talking, my stomach drops. This isn't a prank. It's real. And just like that, my perfect little world starts to crumble. Sarah, there must be some mistake. I've never adopted a child. Our records show otherwise, Ms. Thompson. We have adoption papers with your signature from 2 years ago. My head spins. 2 years ago, I was buried in a massive marketing campaign. There's no way I adopted a kid without knowing. I'm sorry, but this is impossible. Can you send me those papers? I stammer before hanging up, my hands shaking. This doesn't make any sense. I dial Amar's number. Hey sis, what's up? She answers, sounding cheerful. Amar, I need to see you. Now, I reply, voice trembling. It's important. An hour later, I'm pacing in her living room when she walks in, her expression shifting to worry. What's going on, Zab? You're scaring me. I take a deep breath, struggling to stay calm. I just got a call from CPS. They said I adopted a child 2 years ago, but I never did. The papers have my signature on them. My voice cracks. Amar, please tell me you know something about this. Her face drains of color, and she sinks onto the couch, hands trembling. Oh God, Zab. I am so sorry. It was me. I used your identity to adopt Emily. The room spins around me. You? What? How could you do this, Amar? She breaks down, tears streaming down her face. I was desperate. Jake and I tried everything to have a baby, and nothing worked. I saw how easy your life seemed, how you could have kids whenever you wanted. I snapped. Anger surges in me, my hands clenched. So you committed fraud? You used my name, my identity, for this. I never meant for you to find out, she sobs, burying her face in her hands. Jake and I were going to raise her, but he's leaving me now, and I can't do it alone. Zab, please, I need your help. I shake my head in disbelief. Help? You want me to take custody of a child I never agreed to adopt? To pay child support? She nods, guilt etched in every line of her face. Just until I get back on my feet. Please, sis, I don't know what else to do. I take a step back, shaking. Absolutely not. Amar, do you even realize what you've done? This isn't just about an adoption. You stole my identity. I'm sorry, she whispers. I'll make it right. Just please, don't abandon Emily. She's innocent in all this. My head throbs, emotions colliding in my chest. I need to go. I turn for the door, unable to look at her. Zab, wait. What are you going to do? I pull my arm free from her grasp. I don't know, Amar. But whatever happens next is on you. I slam the door behind me. Outside, I slump against my car and my phone buzzes. It's Mike. Hey, babe. Want to grab dinner tonight? Not tonight, Mike. I need some time alone. I end the call, barely able to think straight. As I start the engine, another notification pops up on my phone. Subject: Legal notice. Child support claim. My stomach drops. This nightmare is just beginning. The next day, I'm sitting across from my lawyer, Melissa, who's frowning as she reviews the documents. This is worse than we thought, Zav, she says. Your sister didn't just forge adoption papers. She's opened multiple credit cards and loans in your name. It's a full-blown identity theft case. My chest tightens. How bad is it? We're looking at tens of thousands in debt. And I found evidence she's been stealing from your parents, too. The room blurs as my stomach churns. What do we do? We need to file a police report. This is criminal, Zanab. Are you prepared to press charges? The thought of Amir in handcuffs makes me hesitate, but my resolve is hardening. I need time to think. Later, I'm stress cleaning my apartment when Mike shows up. Babe, what's going on? You've been dodging my calls. I break down, telling him everything. He listens, his lawyer brain working overtime. You need to cut ties with Amir, Zab. She's toxic. But she's my sister, I argue. A sister who stole your identity and ruined your credit. Wake up, Zanab. His tone cuts deep. You don't get it, Mike. This isn't some client's problem you can solve with legal jargon. This is my family. The argument escalates until he storms out, leaving me feeling more alone than ever. Desperate, I call my best friend Tasha. Girl, I'm coming over, she says firmly. Don't move. An hour later, she's by my side, helping me comb through old bank statements. She points to a series of transactions. These match the dates of the credit card openings. We've got her, Z. I swallow hard, the betrayal settling in. I'm pressing charges. The next day, I'm at my parents' house, bracing myself. Mom, Dad, there's something I need to tell you. As I explain, their faces shift from confusion to disbelief to anger. That's impossible, Mom says, shaking her head. Amir would never. Dad cuts in. Are you sure you didn't agree to this adoption and just forgot? You've always been forgetful. Seriously? You're taking her side? I choke on the words, feeling crushed. I can't believe you don't trust me. We're not taking sides, Mom insists, voice shaking. But this is a serious accusation. Maybe if we all sat down together. No, I stand, fighting back tears. I can't believe you doubt me, your own daughter. Ignoring their pleas, I walk out. I'm on my own in this fight, but I'm not backing down. It's time to clear my name, no matter the cost. The courtroom feels suffocating as I take the stand, staring at Amir sitting across from me, looking smaller than I've ever seen her. Miss Thompson, please recount when you first learned of the fraudulent adoption. I clear my throat, gathering every ounce of strength. It was a regular Tuesday. As I recount the call from CPS, Amir's lawyer tries to undermine me. Isn't it possible you agreed to this adoption and simply forgot? Absolutely not. I would never forget adopting a child, I respond firmly. The prosecution presents mountains of evidence, forged signatures, credit card statements, even security footage of Amir using my credit cards. The courtroom erupts as Amir breaks down, sobbing. I'm so sorry, Zab. I never meant for it to go this far, she cries. The judge's gavel echoes through the room. Amira Thompson, you are hereby sentenced to 5 years in prison for multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. As they lead her away, I feel a mix of relief and sadness. It's finally over, but at a heavy cost. Outside the courtroom, my parents approach, looking hesitant. Zab, honey, we owe you an apology. My mom begins, her voice cracking. Dad nods, his eyes downcast. We should have believed you from the start. Can you forgive us? I'm torn. Part of me wants to hug them, but the pain is still fresh. I need time, I manage. In the weeks that follow, CPS arranges for Emily to be placed with a loving family who went through the proper adoption process. The court and CPS ensured her well-being, giving her a fresh start and shielding her from the complexities of Amar's actions. Knowing she's in a caring home gives me a small sense of peace. Back at work, my boss Janet calls me into her office. Zanab, I've been impressed with how you've handled yourself through all of this. We'd like to offer you a promotion, head of marketing for our New York office. I'm stunned. New York? Wow, can I think about it? That night, I meet Mike at our favorite restaurant. The tension is palpable. I got offered a promotion in New York, I tell him. He looks surprised and frowns. You're not considering it, are you? Your whole life is here. My whole life just got turned upside down, Mike. Maybe I need a fresh start. What about us? Am I supposed to uproot my career for you? His words sting. I realize that we're on different paths. I don't think there is an us anymore, Mike. We want different things. The breakup is painful, but as I walk away, I feel lighter. The next day, I join a support group for identity theft victims, and sharing my story helps me heal. I'm inspired by the strength of the people I meet, and for the first time in months, I feel like myself again. One evening, as I pack for New York, Tasha comes over to help. You sure about this, Thee? It's a big move. I look around at my half-empty apartment and smile. Yeah, I am. It's time for a new chapter. You better FaceTime me every day, or I'm coming to drag you back. We laugh and reminisce, and despite everything, I'm excited about what's next. I've got a killer job waiting, true friends who've stood by me, and a chance to start fresh. The old Xana might have been a victim, but this new Xana? She's a survivor, ready to take on the world. And that's the end of Zab's story. Now, I've got a question for you. If you were in her shoes, would you be able to forgive Amir and your parents for their betrayal? Or would you cut ties completely, like Zanab did, and start fresh? It's a tough call. Families are complicated, and trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. But everyone has their own views on forgiveness and family loyalty. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you do. And if you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that make you think. Your support keeps these stories coming. Navigating family drama and personal struggles is a big part of my life. I'm Mackenzie Foster, a 32-year-old marketing executive, and I've worked tirelessly to get where I am. My husband, Jake, has been my biggest supporter since day one of our 5-year marriage, especially when it comes to handling his family. There's Barbara, my well-meaning mother-in-law, and Jake's cousins, Tyler and Allison, who are pretty great. But then there's Vanessa, Jake's sister, and let's just say, a real challenge. As I adjusted my new dress in front of the mirror, my mind wandered back a few months. I had been lying in a hospital bed, terrified as the doctor informed me I'd need emergency surgery for endometriosis, a condition I'd silently battled for years, impacting my fertility and causing relentless pain. The surgery was necessary but left scars, both physical and emotional. I chose to keep it private, partly because it was deeply personal and partly to avoid the inevitable questions and pity, especially from Vanessa, who'd likely turn my struggle into fodder. She had often made snide comments about when Jake and I would have kids, oblivious to our private pain. "Mac, you about ready?" Jake's voice pulled me back to the present. "On my way," I called, taking a deep breath before heading downstairs. Jake smiled as I appeared. "You look beautiful, honey. How are you feeling about today?" I shrugged. "As ready as I'll ever be to face Vanessa." He pulled me into a hug. "Remember, I've got your back, okay? No one needs to know about the surgery if you're not ready." The annual family reunion was a big tradition, held at the lake house that had been in the family for generations. It was meant to be about reconnecting, but recently it felt more like stepping into a minefield. On the drive over, Jake and I reminisced about past reunions. "Remember when Vanessa accidentally spilled red wine all over my white dress last year?" I asked. Jake sighed. "Yeah. And don't forget how she announced your job situation before you had a chance to explain the company downsizing. She really knows how to make me feel small," I muttered, my hand drifting to my abdomen, where my scars were hidden. Jake reached over and squeezed my hand. "Not this year," he promised. As we arrived, Barbara greeted us warmly. "Mackenzie, sweetie, you look wonderful. Come on in." We stepped inside, and I immediately locked eyes with Vanessa, who wore a smirk that made me uneasy. "Well, look who's here," she said as she sauntered over. "Mackenzie, dear, how have you been? Any news to share?" Her eyes flicked to my midsection, and my stomach tightened. Jake stepped in, his arm protective around my waist. "We're doing great, Vanessa. How about you?" She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, just peachy. Always curious to see what's new with you two. No little ones on the way yet." Just then, her husband, Derek, joined her, looking as uncomfortable as ever. "Hey guys, good to see you. Vanessa, honey, why don't we go help your mom in the kitchen?" As they walked away, I exhaled slowly. "Thanks for that," I whispered to Jake. He kissed my forehead. "Always. Now come on, let's go say hi to Tyler and Allison before Vanessa finds something else to comment on." Little did I know, this was just the beginning of what would turn into the most eventful family reunion yet. The sun was high in the sky as I stepped onto the back porch of the lake house, taking in the scene. Family members were scattered across the lawn, some playing horse shows, others chatting by the grill. I pushed down the anxiety bubbling in my chest. "Hey, Mackenzie, come join us," Tyler called, waving from the volleyball net he was setting up. I smiled, grateful for the distraction. "Sure, just don't expect any Olympic-level moves from me," I laughed, joining the game. But I could feel Vanessa's eyes on me from where she sat with a group of aunts. I did my best to ignore her, focusing instead on the game and the laughter of my teammates. After a while, Barbara called out, All right, everyone, time for the family photo. We all gathered near the lake, jostling for position. I ended up near the front with Jake's arm around my waist. Just as the photographer was about to snap the picture, I felt a sharp tug on my dress. "Oh, Mackenzie, your dress is all wrinkled. Let me fix that for you," Vanessa said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Before I could react, she yanked hard on the fabric. There was a loud rip, and suddenly I felt a rush of cool air on my skin. Everything froze for a moment as I looked down to see my dress torn open, exposing the scars from my surgery. Gasps echoed around me, and I stood there, paralyzed with shock and humiliation. "Oh my God," someone whispered. Jake quickly moved to cover me with his jacket. "What the hell, Vanessa?" he growled. Vanessa's laughter sliced through the silence. "Oops, guess I don't know my own strength. Sorry about that, Mackenzie." I couldn't bear to look at anyone. Tears stinging my eyes, I turned and ran back into the house, ignoring the calls behind me. Once inside, I locked myself in a bedroom, sliding down against the door as sobs racked my body. A few moments later, I heard a soft knock. "It's me, Jake. Can I come in?" he asked. I hesitated before unlocking the door, and Jake slipped in, wrapping me in his arms. "I'm so sorry, babe. I can't believe she did that." Everyone saw Jake. "They all know now," I whispered, my face buried in his chest. "It's okay," he said softly. "You have nothing to be ashamed of." We sat there, him stroking my hair, until I heard voices in the hallway. "Vanessa, how could you do such a thing?" Barbara's voice was thick with disappointment. "Oh, come on, Mom. It was just a joke." How was I supposed to know she was hiding some big secret under there? Maybe if she wasn't so uptight all the time. I felt Jake tense beside me. "I should go out there." I grabbed his arm. "No, don't. It'll only make things worse." He sighed, pulling me closer. "You're right, but we can't let her get away with this." A newfound determination rose within me. I'm done letting her walk all over me. This ends now. This was about more than standing up to Vanessa. It was about reclaiming my dignity. No more hiding. No more shame. It was time to face this, scars and all. In the days following the reunion, I barely left the house. Jake did his best to comfort me, but the humiliation replayed over and over in my mind. Finally, I called my best friend Zoe. "I can't take it anymore," I said, my voice cracking. "Oh, honey, I'm coming over right now," Zoe said, and within an hour, she was at my door. As we sat on my couch, I poured out years of pent-up frustration about Vanessa's bullying and manipulation. "She's always putting me down, making me feel small," I explained. But this was a new low. Zoe listened, her brow furrowed. "Mackenzie, you can't let her keep doing this. It's time to stand up for yourself." "But how?" She always twists things around. "We gather evidence," Zoe said, a determined glint in her eye. "Build a case against her and show everyone who she really is." As we brainstormed, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Derek, Vanessa's husband. "Can we talk? It's important." Curious though wary, I agreed to meet him at a local cafe. When I arrived, Derek looked nervous, glancing over his shoulder. "Mackenzie, I'm so sorry about what happened at the reunion," he began. "But there's more you need to know about Vanessa." Over the next hour, Derek revealed a troubling history of Vanessa's behavior, not just toward me, but toward him and their children too. He mentioned financial issues and hinted that Vanessa had been acting strangely about money. "I think she might be doing something at work," he whispered, "but I can't prove it." Armed with this new information, I threw myself into investigation mode. I reached out to old colleagues of Vanessa's, piecing together a pattern of workplace issues. I combed through social media, finding signs of emotional manipulation toward her kids. But the most shocking discovery came when I started talking to other family members. Tyler pulled me aside at a coffee shop, looking troubled. "Mackenzie, I don't know if I should tell you this, but..." He hesitated. "Vanessa's been spreading nasty rumors about you and Jake, about why you don't have kids yet." My heart sank. "What kind of rumors?" I asked, bracing myself. Tyler's revelation turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg. As I dug deeper, I uncovered a web of lies Vanessa had spun, turning family members against each other with vicious gossip and half-truths. Soon, Allison joined our cause, sharing her own experiences of Vanessa's cruelty. "She's always been jealous of you, Mackenzie," Allison explained. "I think she sees you as a threat." With each piece of evidence, my confidence grew. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about protecting our family from Vanessa's toxic influence. One evening, as Jake and I reviewed everything we'd uncovered, he looked at me with a mix of pride and concern. "Are you sure you want to do this, Mac? Once we confront her, there's no going back." I took a deep breath, thinking about all the pain Vanessa had caused, not just to me but to so many others. "I'm sure," I said firmly. "It's time to end this once and for all." As we finalized our plan, I felt a strange blend of anticipation and dread. The next family gathering would be the showdown we'd been building toward. Vanessa had no idea what was coming, but I was finally ready, armed with the truth and surrounded by those who mattered most. Walking into Barbara's house for the gathering, I felt a surge of confidence. Jake squeezed my hand reassuringly as we entered the living room where everyone was assembled. Vanessa's eyes narrowed when she saw me. "Well, if it isn't the star of our last get-together," she sneered. "Ready for another show, Mackenzie?" I took a deep breath. "Actually, Vanessa, I think it's time for your show to end." The room fell silent as I calmly began to speak, presenting the evidence I'd gathered. I revealed Vanessa's workplace fraud, her manipulation of family members, and the emotional toll her actions had taken on everyone, including her own children. "You've been spreading lies about all of us," I said, my voice steady, "turning us against each other for your own amusement." The family's shock was palpable. Barbara's hand flew to her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. Derek stood up, his face pale. "I can't do this anymore, Vanessa," he said. "I'm leaving you, and I'm going to seek full custody of our children." Vanessa's carefully crafted image crumbled before our eyes. She sputtered, trying to defend herself, but the evidence was overwhelming. Barbara approached me, her voice trembling. "Mackenzie, I'm so sorry. I should have seen this sooner. Thank you for being brave enough to speak up." In the days that followed, the consequences of Vanessa's actions snowballed. Her company launched an investigation based on the evidence I provided, which led to her termination and potential legal repercussions. The family rallied around me, expressing their gratitude and admiration for standing up to Vanessa. Tyler and Allison shared their own stories, finally free from her influence. Months later, I stood in my office, looking out at the city skyline. My career was thriving, and I felt more confident than ever. Jake and I were even starting to talk about adoption, no longer held back by the fear of Vanessa's judgment. I thought about Vanessa now, jobless, divorced, and estranged from the family. While I didn't rejoice in her misfortune, I felt relief knowing she could no longer hurt us. Reflecting on my journey, I realized how much stronger I'd become. The scars that once made me feel ashamed now reminded me of my resilience. I had overcome not just my health challenges, but also the toxic influence that had plagued my life for so long. With a smile, I turned back to my desk, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. I was no longer hiding or shrinking myself. I was standing tall, scars and all, finally free to be my true self. Have you ever confronted a toxic family member? How did it change your relationships? Share your experiences in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story of standing up to manipulation, please like and subscribe for more empowering content. Hey there, I'm Floria. Let me tell you how I turned my life around after years of family drama. Picture this. I'm a 28-year-old painter, chasing my dreams in the concrete jungle of New York City. Sounds glamorous, right? Well, it's been anything but. Growing up, it always felt like I was just a shadow of my older brother, Marcus. Mom would gush over his every accomplishment while barely glancing in my direction. There was this one moment I'll never forget. I'd won first place in the school art fair, a big deal for me. Heart pounding, I rushed home, blue ribbon in hand, only to have her barely look up from her phone. "That's nice, honey," she murmured before immediately raving about Marcus making the varsity football team. It was always the same. Marcus this, Marcus that. Don't get me wrong, I love my brother, but it hurt to feel invisible in my own family. Now, though, things are different. I got a little studio in Brooklyn, and my art is finally selling. And even more exciting, I'm getting married to the most amazing guy, Jack. He's been my rock through all the family chaos. "Your mom's going to lose it when she sees you in that dress," Jack said, a smile lighting up his face as we discussed the wedding plans. I wanted to believe him, I really did. So I picked up the phone and called Mom to make sure she had the date saved. Hey Mom, just double checking that you're all set for the wedding next month. There was a long, heavy pause on the other end. Oh, sweetie, about that. Marcus is having the grand opening for his new shop that day. I promised I'd be there to support him. My heart dropped. But Mom, it's my wedding day. Can't you come to both? You know how important this is for your brother. I'm sure you understand, she replied, her voice brisk. I didn't understand. Not at all. After I hung up, I just sat there, numb. Jack found me an hour later, staring blankly at the wall. Floria, what's wrong? He asked softly. I told him everything, my voice barely a whisper. She's not coming, Jack. She's going to Marcus's shop opening instead. Jack pulled me close, his voice steady. Floria, she's the one missing out. We're going to have a beautiful day, with or without her. I nodded, trying to believe him, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd never be enough for her. As I leaned into Jack's embrace, I wondered if I'd always be the overlooked daughter. The wedding day arrived, and despite Jack's reassurances, I couldn't shake the emptiness gnawing at me. Standing in front of the mirror in my white gown, my best friend Sarah adjusted my veil. You look stunning, Floria. Jack's going to lose it when he sees you. I forced a smile, hiding the ache. Thanks, Sarah. I just wish. She squeezed my hand. I know, honorable, but don't let her absence ruin your day. This is about you and Jack. The ceremony was beautiful, but my gaze kept drifting to the empty seat where Mom should have been. Sensing my distraction, Jack squeezed my hand as the officiant declared, I now pronounce you husband and wife. As his lips met mine, I pushed thoughts of my family aside and focused on our future. Months flew by, and my art career took off. I landed a spot in a prestigious gallery, and my paintings were selling faster than I could make them. Jack was thrilled. You're killing it, babe. We have to celebrate. Life felt full, until I stumbled across Mom's social media. There she was, grinning at Marcus's shop opening, celebrating his birthday, even out for a random Tuesday night dinner. Jack noticed my clenched jaw. You okay? He asked, concern in his eyes. She's there, Jack. Every single event. Every time he calls, she's there. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I dialed her number, my hands shaking. She picked up, cheerful as ever. Floria, is everything all right? No, Mom, it's not, I replied, my voice sharper than I'd intended. I've seen your posts. You've been at every single one of Marcus's events. Oh, honey, don't be so sensitive. My mom's voice sounded almost annoyed. You know your brother needs more support with his business ventures. And I didn't need support on my wedding day. I asked, hurt bubbling up into anger. You've always been so independent, Floria. I thought you'd understand. Understand what? That I'll never be as important as Marcus. Now you're just being dramatic. You know I love you both equally. I scoffed, feeling the sting of years of neglect sharpen. Really? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like Marcus is your golden child, and I'm just an afterthought. Floria, you're blowing this out of proportion. Maybe when you have kids of your own, you'll understand. Understand what? How to play favorites. No thanks. I hung up, my hands trembling. Tears filled my eyes as Jack wrapped me in a hug, his voice a gentle anchor. You didn't deserve that, Floria. Your mom's behavior is toxic. I took a shaky breath, wrestling with the ache and the anger. What am I supposed to do, Jack? She's still my mom. Maybe, he said softly, it's time to create some distance. Focus on your art, on us. You don't need that negativity. He was right. I couldn't keep waiting for her approval, sacrificing my own happiness. You're right, I'm done trying to win her over. From now on, I'm living for me. That night, I blocked my mom and Marcus on social media. It hurt, but I felt lighter. The next morning, I went to my studio, picked up my brush, and felt a surge of freedom I hadn't felt in years. This was my life, my art, my choice. For the first time, I felt truly free. 2 years passed in a whirlwind of paint and success. My art was selling faster than I could create it, and Jack and I were expecting our first child. Life was good, really good. One day, while I was in my studio, the doorbell rang. To my surprise, it was my Aunt Marge, looking anxious. Floria, sweetie, we need to talk. We sat down, and she fidgeted with her purse, a hint of fear in her eyes. There's something you need to know about Marcus and your mother. My heart sank. What's going on, Aunt Marge? She sighed, looking me in the eye. Marcus's business. It's not what it seems. He's been laundering money. I felt as if the room was spinning. What? How do you know? I overheard your mother on the phone. She's involved too, Floria. They've been using your college fund to finance this whole operation. My mind reeled. My college fund. Why? There's more, she continued, her voice a whisper. Remember your wedding day? Your mother wasn't at Marcus's shop opening. She was meeting with some shady people, setting up new investments. My chest tightened as betrayal crashed over me. So she lied to me about everything. Aunt Marge nodded, her face etched with regret. I'm so sorry, sweetie. I couldn't keep this from you any longer. After she left, I sat alone, numb with shock. Jack came home to find me still there, tears streaming down my face. Floria, what happened? I poured everything out, my voice breaking as I recounted Aunt Marge's revelations. Jack's face hardened, his jaw clenched. They've manipulated you for years, he said, his voice low with anger. You don't deserve this, Floria. I looked down at my swollen belly, torn between the love for my family and the pain they caused. What do we do now? Jack paced the room, his face set with determination. We can't let them get away with this, Floria. It's not just about you anymore. We have to think about our child. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision ahead. We could tip off the authorities. Anonymously, let them investigate. But that's my family, Jack, I whispered, the ache of betrayal twisting within me. Your family, he said, his voice steady, who stole from you, lied to you, and prioritized themselves over you for years. My hands shook as I picked up the phone and dialed the local police station. Hello, I'd like to report some suspicious financial activity. As I spoke, a heavy weight lifted from my shoulders. This was it, the moment I stopped being a victim and took control of my life. When I hung up, Jack pulled me into his arms. You did the right thing, Floria. I'm proud of you. I nodded, tears blurring my vision. I just hope I can live with what I've done. Jack placed a hand on my stomach. Remember, they made their choices. You're protecting our family, our future. As I felt our baby kick, I knew he was right. It was time to break free from the toxic cycle and create a better life for our child. Whatever happened next, we'd face it together. Months flew by, and before I knew it, I cradled my newborn daughter, Lily, in my arms, with Jack grinning beside me. She's perfect, Floria. Just like her mom. Lost in Lily's tiny features, I barely noticed Jack turning up the TV. Breaking news. Local businessman Marcus Thompson arrested on charges of fraud and money laundering. The anchor announced. My jaw dropped as footage showed my brother being led away in handcuffs. Jack squeezed my hand. You okay, babe? I don't know. It's surreal, I whispered. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was my mom. I hesitated before answering. Floria, thank God you picked up. It's all a mistake. You have to help us, she pleaded, her voice frantic. Help you? How? I asked, already knowing her answer. We need money for Marcus's bail, and I need a place to stay. They've frozen all our accounts. Anger surged within me. So now you need me? After years of treating me like I didn't matter. Honey, please, I'm your mother. Family helps family. Family? I scoffed. You stole my college fund. You chose Marcus's schemes over my wedding day. I'm sorry, Floria. We can make this right, I promise. I looked over at Lily, sleeping peacefully in her crib. No, Mom, I have my own family to protect. I can't get involved in your mess. But where will I go? What will I do? I took a deep breath. Figure it out, just like I had to. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up, my hands shaking, and Jack pulled me close. You did the right thing, Floria, he murmured. We can't let them drive us back into their drama. 5 years went by in a blink. Lily had blossomed into a spunky little artist, and I was preparing for my biggest gallery opening yet. As I hung my final piece, Jack walked in with Lily in tow. Mommy, it's so pretty, Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with admiration. I scooped her up, kissing her cheek. Thanks, sweetie. Want to help me name this one? As Lily pondered, Jack showed me his phone. Check this out. It was a news article. Marcus Thompson sentenced to 15 years. Mother struggles to find employment amid scandal. I felt a strange mix of emotions. Not quite sadness, not quite satisfaction. You okay? Jack asked. I nodded, glancing around the gallery. Yeah. For the first time in forever, I really am. Just then, a crowd started to gather. art critics, buyers, even a few celebrities. Jack gave me a quick kiss. Knock 'em dead, babe. We'll be right here, cheering you on. I caught sight of my reflection in a nearby mirror. The insecure, overlooked daughter was gone. In her place stood a confident artist, a loving mother, and a devoted wife. "Ready, Miss Thompson?" my assistant asked, smiling. I squeezed Jack's hand and ruffled Lily's hair. "More than ready. Let's do this." As I stepped forward to address the crowd, I felt nothing but gratitude for my chosen family and the bright future ahead. The toxic influences of my past were just that, in the past, and as I began my speech, I knew that the best was yet to come. Now here's a question for you. If you were in Floria's shoes, would you have tipped off the authorities about your family's illegal activities? Or would you have kept quiet, even after years of mistreatment? This dilemma pits family loyalty against personal integrity, and it's a tough call. What would you do in this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could spark some really interesting discussions. If you enjoyed Floria's journey and want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to us and helps bring more compelling stories to life. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, I'm Emma Thompson, 28 years old and killing it at my marketing job. I'm this close to buying my first house. Exciting, right? "Emma, you've really outdone yourself this time," my boss said, sliding a hefty bonus check across my desk. I grinned. "Thanks, Karen. This is going straight into my house fund." I've been saving every spare penny for months, and the idea of owning my dream home was finally within reach. I couldn't wait to tell my big brother, Mike. He'd always been my rock, especially after our parents split. Later that evening, I called him up. "Guess what?" I said. "I'm this close to putting a down payment on a house." "That's great, sis," he replied, though something in his voice was off. You wouldn't happen to have some cash to spare, would you? Just until next month?" I sighed. This wasn't the first time. "Mike, I'm saving up. You know that." "It's nothing." "Don't worry about it." He brushed me off, quickly changing the subject. "How's Mom doing?" Typical Mike, always deflecting. Same old, still refusing rehab, I said. Our mom's addiction had shattered our family years ago, leaving Mike and me to pick up the pieces alone. Growing up fast was an understatement. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from my boyfriend Jason. "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. Proud of you." I smiled, pushing aside the nagging feeling that something was off. Lately, Jason had seemed almost resentful of my success, and I wasn't sure why. My best friend Olivia's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. "Eartha Emma, you zoned out again," she teased. We were grabbing our weekly coffee, a tradition of ours. Olivia worked at a local bank and had been helping me navigate the mortgage application process. "Just thinking about Mike. He asked for money again." Olivia frowned. "Emma, I love you, but you've got to stop enabling him. Focus on yourself for once." I nodded, but deep down, I knew I'd probably end up helping him anyway. He was family, after all. As I walked home that evening, I couldn't shake the feeling that something big was about to happen. Another text buzzed from Jason. "Running late. Don't wait up." I sighed, unlocking my apartment door. The empty space seemed to echo my growing unease. I'd worked so hard to build this life, yet it felt like everything was balanced on a knife's edge. Little did I know my world was about to unravel in ways I couldn't imagine. The next morning, I walked into the bank, heart pounding. This was it, the day I'd apply for my mortgage pre-approval. Olivia greeted me with a smile, but her face fell as she looked at her computer screen. "Emma, there's a problem." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Your application's been denied. There's a large unpaid loan in your name." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "That's impossible. I've never taken out a big loan." Olivia's fingers flew over the keyboard. "It says here, Emma, this loan was taken out using your social security number." My mind raced. Who could have? No, it couldn't be. I immediately called Mike. "Did you use my social security number for a loan?" "What? No, of course not," he scoffed, but I could hear the hesitation in his voice. "Don't lie to me, Mike. I can't get approved for a mortgage because of an unpaid loan in my name." There was a long pause. "Emma, I didn't mean for this to happen. I was in trouble. I needed the money. I hung up, my hands shaking, memories flooding back. Mike borrowing from my piggy banks as a kid, asking me to cover for him when he'd stolen from Mom's purse. It was always the same story, the same promises. Desperate for support, I called my mom. Mom, Mike stole my identity. He ruined my credit. Oh, Emma, Mom sighed. I'm sure he didn't mean to. You know how hard things have been for him. Can't you just help him out this once? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Help him out? Mom, he committed fraud. He stole from me. Don't be so selfish, Emma. He's your brother. She dismissed me, and I hung up, feeling more alone than ever. Just then, Jason walked in. Hey, babe. Why the long face? I told him everything, hoping for some comfort. Instead, his response sent a chill down my spine. Well, what did you expect? You're always talking about how great your family is. Maybe if you weren't so naive. Naive. I repeated, stunned. Jason, I trusted my brother. He shrugged. Yeah, and look where that got you. Face it, Emma, you brought this on yourself. In that moment, I saw him clearly for the first time, all the subtle put-downs, the jealousy over my success. It all clicked into place. Calmly, I stood up. Get out. What? I said get out, we're done. As the door closed behind him, I sank to the floor. My brother had stolen my identity. My mom had sided with him, and now my boyfriend had shown his true colors. In a single day, my whole world had crumbled. I called Olivia, my voice thick with tears. Liv, I don't know what to do. I'm coming over, she said without hesitation. We'll figure this out together. As I waited, I stared around my apartment. I'd worked so hard for this life, for the dream of owning my own home. And now it felt like it was slipping through my fingers. But underneath the hurt, something new was stirring. Anger. Determination. They thought I was naive, selfish. Well, they were about to learn just how wrong they were. I was done letting toxic people control my life. Little did they know, this betrayal wasn't the end of my story, it was just the beginning. I decided to dig into Mike's actions, hiring a private investigator. A week later, the PI called. You won't believe what I found, he said. Your brother's been running scams all over town. He's got at least a dozen victims. I felt sick. How deep does this go? Deep enough to put him away for a long time. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Alex, an old friend from college I hadn't spoken to in years. Emma, I heard you're having some trouble. I work in cybersecurity now. Maybe I can help. It felt like a lifeline. We met for coffee, and I spilled everything. Alex listened, then nodded. This is rough, but listen. I can help you gather evidence. We'll nail these guys to the wall. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. Back at work, I must have looked like a mess because Karen, my boss, called me into her office. Emma, what's going on? You're one of my best, but lately. I didn't even know what came over me, but I told her everything. Instead of firing me, she said, Emma, I had no idea. Take whatever time you need. I've got your back. Meanwhile, Olivia had been doing some digging of her own. You're not going to believe this, she said one day. Jason, he's been embezzling from his company. I found suspicious transfers while reviewing accounts. I laughed bitterly. Of course he has. Anything else to add to the dumpster fire that's my life? Actually, yes. I think I have a way to expose him without implicating you. As she laid out her plan, I felt a spark of the old me coming back to life. I spent the next few days working with Alex, gathering digital evidence of Mike's fraud and surprisingly proof of Jason's infidelity. Turns out he'd been busy while I'd been working late. This is gold, Alex said, scrolling through the data. But are you sure you want to go through with this? It could get messy. I nodded firmly. They made their beds. Now they can lie in them. Olivia came through with bank records showing Jason's embezzlement. Karen provided references and documentation of my work ethic, just in case. As the pieces fell into place, I realized something. I didn't need to get my hands dirty. The truth would do all the work. I drafted anonymous tips to the relevant authorities, police for Mike's scams, Jason's company for his embezzlement. I even prepared a package for my mom, showing her just how deep Mike's manipulation went. Are you ready for this? Olivia asked as we sat in my living room, files and envelopes spread around us. I took a deep breath. I've never been more ready. I hit send on the last email, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. The ball was rolling now, and there was no stopping it. Alex looked at me, smiling. So what now? I grinned, feeling more like myself than I had in ages. Now we wait, and maybe order some pizza. I have a feeling things are about to get interesting. Little did I know, interesting was an understatement. The storm I was about to unleash would change everything in ways I couldn't even imagine. It was a quiet Tuesday morning. The notifications came all at once, lighting up my phone like fireworks. My heart pounded as I swiped through. There it was, front and center on the local news. Massive fraud bust uncovered, suspect arrested. And there, staring back at me, was Mike's face. Multiple counts of fraud and identity theft, the reporter announced. The FBI is calling it one of the largest personal fraud cases in the state's history. Relief washed over me, tempered by a deep, inevitable sadness. It was over. Mike's web of deceit, his endless pleas for help. But at what cost? My phone buzzed again, and this time it was Jason's ex-boss. Emma, I thought you should know we're pressing charges for embezzlement. Did you know anything about this? I took a shaky breath. No, I replied truthfully. But I can't say I'm surprised. I knew the hardest part was yet to come. Driving to my mom's house with a folder of evidence in hand, I felt the weight of years of tangled loyalties and shattered trust. She greeted me with a cautious smile. Emma, what's this about? Wordlessly, I laid out document after document. This is who Mike really is, Mom. This is what you've been enabling all these years. Her face crumbled as she took it all in, denial falling away to reveal heartbreak. I didn't want to see it, she whispered. Oh God, what have I done? The conversation was painful but necessary. As I left, I knew our relationship would never be the same. But perhaps, in its brokenness, it could become something healthier, grounded in truth rather than illusions. With Mike's arrest, clearing my credit finally became possible. Alex and Olivia guided me through every step of the legal maze. And finally one day, I heard the words I've been longing for. Emma Thompson, the loan officer, smiled. Your mortgage application has been approved. Relief and joy swept over me. I could have cried right there in the bank. Back at work, Karen called me into her office, expecting another wave of sympathy. I was stunned when she smiled. Emma, I've been so impressed by how you handled all this. How would you feel about heading up our new marketing division? I blinked. Karen, yes. Absolutely, yes. The day I moved into my new house felt surreal. Olivia, Alex, and Karen came by to help unpack and toast the new place with takeout and cheap champagne. To new beginnings, Olivia cheered, her glass raised high. Looking around at them, my chosen family, I felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude. They'd stood by me through every dark moment, every doubt. I couldn't have done this without you, I managed, voice thick. To Emma, Alex grinned, the strongest person we know. When they left, I lingered in my new home, feeling the quiet settle around me. The past few months had been a relentless storm, ripping apart illusions and shedding light on hard truths. I'd lost my brother to his own choices, seen my mother forced to face reality, and ended things with a man who didn't truly value me. But I'd also discovered a strength I never knew I had, learned that family sometimes isn't about blood, and found friendships that grounded me when everything else fell away. As I hung a photo of Olivia, Alex, Karen, and me from the housewarming, a deep sense of peace filled me. This was my new beginning, hard-won, and all the sweeter for it. I'd fought my battles and emerged not just intact, but stronger. To anyone facing toxic relationships and tough choices, remember, you're stronger than you think. Don't let anyone dim your light. Your happy ending is out there, and it's worth fighting for. Take it from me, I'm living proof. And if you were in my shoes, would you have exposed your brother's crimes, knowing it might shatter your family? Or would you have protected him, even if it meant sacrificing your own future? Hey there, I'm Helen, a 32-year-old single mom and a hairdresser extraordinaire. I'm just walking through the front door of my childhood home, luggage in tow, feeling pretty darn good about myself. I just got back early from this killer hairstyling convention in the city, and my head is buzzing with new techniques and trends. I'm so ready to wow my clients back at the salon. Ethan, honey, I'm home. I call out, expecting to hear the familiar sound of my 8-year-old's feet pounding the floor as he runs to greet me. But instead, nothing. The house is oddly quiet. I head upstairs, figuring maybe he's in his room, deep into some game or book. But when I push open his door, I stop in my tracks, my jaw nearly hitting the floor. What in the world? I gasp. Ethan's room, the one with the rocket ship bedspread and the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, is gone. In its place is a swanky home office setup, a massive desk, a sleek leather chair, even some fancy filing cabinets. Mom, I shout, my voice echoing through the house. Ethan? I race downstairs, my heart pounding. That's when I spot him, curled up on the pull-out couch in the living room, fast asleep. Helen, is that you? My mom, Linda, pops her head out from the kitchen, smiling like everything's fine. You're home early. Mom, what's going on? Where's Ethan's room? Oh, we had to make some changes. Come meet Greg. She says it so casually, as if moving my son out of his room isn't a big deal. And right on cue, in walks a tall guy with salt and pepper hair, all smiles and firm handshakes. You must be Helen. I've heard so much about you, he says, extending a hand. And you are? I ask, my eyes narrowing. This is Greg, my boyfriend, Mom gushes. He's a financial consultant and needed a home office for his work-from-home job. I feel like I've stepped into the twilight zone. So you just got rid of Ethan's room. Now, Helen, Mom starts, her tone shifting to something patronizing. Don't be dramatic. Ethan doesn't mind sleeping on the pullout. It's like camping. Camping? In his own home? I can feel my temper rising. Mom, you can't just make decisions like this without talking to me first. Helen dear, she says, her voice dripping with false sweetness. I don't need your permission. This is my house, and I'll do what I want with it. I look between Mom and Greg, who's standing there with a smug little grin, and then back to Ethan, still sleeping on that cramped couch. Something inside me snaps. This is Ethan's home too, I say, my voice low but firm, and mine. You can't just uproot our lives for some stranger. That's enough, Mom snaps back. Greg is not a stranger. He's part of this family now, and you will treat him with respect. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the storm brewing inside me. We'll see about that. It's been a week since Greg moved in, and something about him is setting off alarm bells. Last night, I was heading to the kitchen for a late-night snack when I overheard Mom and Greg talking in hushed tones. But Linda, honey, this investment is a sure thing, Greg was saying. We just need a little more capital to get started. Mom sounded worried. I don't know, Greg. We're already stretched pretty thin. I froze, my hand hovering over the doorknob. What investment? And why did Mom sound so uneasy? The next morning, I cornered her while she was making coffee. Hey, is everything okay? You seemed stressed last night. She plastered on a fake smile. Oh, just grown-up stuff, Helen. Nothing for you to worry about. But I wasn't going to let this guy ruin our lives. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. I started paying closer attention to Greg's every move. The way he sweet-talked Mom into buying him expensive suits and gadgets for his business meetings. One afternoon, while Greg was out, I decided to sneak into his new office, Ethan's old room. As soon as I saw the bank statement lying on the desk, my blood ran cold. It was Ethan's college fund account, and the balance was way lower than it should have been. Mom, I shouted, storming into the living room. What happened to Ethan's college money? She looked up at me, wide-eyed, like a deer caught in headlights. Helen, I had to borrow some. Greg's business venture needed a little boost. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're kidding, right? That's Ethan's future. Right then, Greg waltzed in, perfectly timed. What's all the commotion about? I spun on him, anger burning in my chest. You tell me, Greg. What exactly are you doing with my son's college fund? He had the nerve to look offended. Now, Helen, I don't appreciate your tone. Your mother and I are making smart investments for all of our futures. Smart investments? Like what? Your fancy watch? Your new car? Greg's expression darkened. You don't understand business, Helen. Sometimes you have to spend money to make money. Helen, that's enough, Mom snapped, suddenly standing by Greg's side. Greg knows what he's doing. If you can't be supportive, maybe you should find somewhere else to live. I stared at her stunned. Are you serious? You kick out your own daughter and grandson. Mom looked torn, but Greg quickly put his arm around her. Linda, sweetheart, maybe Helen just needs some time to cool off and think about her attitude. I stormed out of the room, my mind racing. This was worse than I thought. Greg had Mom wrapped around his finger, and he was bleeding us dry. I knew I needed help. Grabbing my phone, I dialed my best friend, Sarah. Sarah? It's Helen. Remember when you said you owed me for fixing that disastrous perm? Well, I'm calling in that favor. I need you to dig up everything you can on a guy named Gregory Walters. And I mean everything. Sarah's voice immediately grew concerned. Helen, what's going on? I took a deep breath. I think my mom's new boyfriend is a con artist and he's about to ruin our lives. I need proof before it's too late. Sarah came through faster than I could have hoped. A few days later, we met at our favorite coffee shop, and she slid a thick folder across the table. Helen, she said, her eyes wide, you're not going to believe this. I flipped through the pages, my stomach dropping with each revelation. Multiple pyramid schemes, 3 ex-wives. I muttered, barely able to process it all. Sarah nodded grimly. And that's not all. Look at the bank records. My heart stopped as I scanned the documents. He's been siphoning money from Mom's accounts. How did I miss this? I whispered, feeling the weight of guilt and frustration press down on me. Sarah reached across the table, gripping my hand. Helen, you need to tell your mom. Determined, I gathered the evidence and rushed home. I found Mom in the kitchen, humming as she cooked. Mom, we need to talk, I said, laying the documents on the table. It's about Greg. She sighed, clearly exasperated. Helen, not this again. Mom, please just look at this, I urged, flipping through the papers. Greg isn't who you think he is. I laid it all out, the fraud, the ex-wives, the embezzlement. As I spoke, Mom's face shifted from disbelief to shock, and then to anger. How dare you? She snapped. You're just jealous that I found happiness again. Jealous? Mom, he's stealing from you. Get out, she shouted, her voice shaking. I won't listen to these lies. Just then, Greg walked in, his face carefully arranged into an expression of concern. Linda, darling, what's wrong? Tears welled up in Mom's eyes. Helen's trying to turn me against you with these ridiculous accusations. Greg's eyes narrowed as he turned to me. I think it's time you left, Helen. But I stood my ground. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home too. Greg smirked, pulling out a document from his jacket. About that, he said smoothly. Linda, remember that deed transfer we discussed? For tax purposes? My blood ran cold. Mom, what is he talking about? She wouldn't meet my eyes. It's just a formality, Helen. The house is in Greg's name now. I could barely comprehend what I was hearing. You're putting me and Ethan on the street, your own daughter and grandson. Greg wrapped his arm around Mom again. Now let's not be dramatic. You're welcome to stay, as long as you stop spreading these vicious rumors. I stared at them both, my heart pounding, fury and betrayal coursing through me. Then something inside me shifted. Fine, Greg. You think you've won. Let's see about that. I turned and walked out, pulling out my phone as I did. Sarah, it's me. Remember that crazy plan we joked about? Well, it's not a joke anymore. We're doing it. Helen, are you sure? This could backfire in a big way, she warned. I looked back at the house, thinking of Ethan sleeping on that cramped couch, of Mom being manipulated and robbed blind. I'm sure, I said, steel in my voice. It's time to take this jerk down. Greg had no idea who he was messing with. I might be a hairdresser, but I was about to become his worst nightmare. Game on, Greg, I muttered. Let's see how you like getting a taste of your own medicine. I invited Greg to a business dinner at our house, pretending I wanted to make amends. He took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. That evening, as we sat around the dining table, I introduced him to my investor friend. Actually Sarah, in disguise. So Greg, Helen tells me you're quite the financial whiz, Sarah said, laying it on thick. Greg puffed up like a peacock. Well, I don't like to brag, but I have a knack for spotting lucrative opportunities. As dinner progressed, Greg became more and more animated, bragging about his foolproof investment strategies. Little did he know, every word he said was being recorded by hidden cameras. Just as he was about to reveal the clincher, the doorbell rang. My heart pounded as I went to answer it. 2 men in suits stood at the door, badges in hand. FBI. We're here for Gregory Walters. The look on Greg's face was priceless as the agents walked in. Gregory Walters, you're under arrest for multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. Mom looked shell-shocked. Helen, what's going on? I took a deep breath. Mom, everything I told you about Greg was true. And now we have proof. In the days that followed, the truth came out. Greg's fraud was even more extensive than we thought. Mom was devastated, but also grateful we had stopped him before he could do more damage. A week later, Mom called me into the living room. Helen, I've been thinking. I want to make things right. She handed me a document. It was the house deed, with my name added as co-owner. I was speechless. Mom, it's the least I can do. This is your home too, yours and Ethan's. Thank you, Mom, but you know this doesn't fix everything, right? She nodded sagely. I know. I've decided to move out for a while. Give you and Ethan some space. I found a nice little apartment nearby. That evening, Ethan and I stood in his old room, now no longer a home office, but a blank slate. What do you think, kiddo? Ready to redecorate? Ethan's eyes lit up. Can I have a superhero theme? I laughed, ruffling his hair. Anything you want, baby. As I tucked Ethan into his own bed that night, no more pull-out couch, I couldn't help but smile. We'd been through hell, but we'd come out stronger. Now that you've heard my story, I've got a question for you. How far would you go to protect your family from a manipulative person? Even if it meant going against your own parents' wishes, would you risk everything like I did, or would you handle it differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions matter, and they might help someone else facing a similar situation. If you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more real-life drama and stories of triumph over toxic people. Your support means the world to me and helps me continue sharing these important stories. Thanks for listening, and remember, sometimes you've got to fight fire with fire to protect what's yours.